Shalom everyone. Washing hands between courses. We'll see the significance of it and what's the reason we do that. We want to start with saying Toda Rabah. Thank you for the Medina's family for hosting the class on the COVID-19. And God bless them and their family with a good parnasa, with nachas from all the children. And should work less hour with double the money. You like this one? You like that? I know that. Okay.
Mostly the less hours.
Okay. So we're going to dedicate this class also for refuah shalema, speedy recovery to all the Murphy's family, our dear friends, and all those who needs refuah shalema. The power of Torah is unbelievable, and now we're creating good defenders for these people, and everyone that you mentioned their name, this class will be for them for the spirit recovery of refuah shalema. So, how to wash between courses? Okay, we've learned that we need to be careful between meat and fish, and cheese and meat, and especially when we touch a fish, some people pick their mouth with the fingers, and then they might touch chicken or meat. It's good to wash hands in between, or to clean them, or to wipe the hands with wipes. It also works fine. So it's called washing hands between courses and the meal. When washing hands between courses, it is not necessary to pour water from a container on them, like we're washing hands before the meal. That is, one may simply rinse their hands under the faucet or dip them in a bowl of water, or using wipes as we mentioned before. It is necessary to wash only the fingers up to the second joint. Furthermore, although a person should make sure that there is nothing on his fingers that could prevent the water from wetting their entire surface, which means like you have rings, or if such a thing remains on the finger, his washing is still valid. No, so you don't have to worry because he has a finger. You have a finger, removed it. You already wash your hands without moving the finger, it's still valid. But technically, when you wash your hands, you remove all fingers, right? All fingers. All rings from your fingers. Don't move your fingers.
Now we're moving your
Lechatchila. So what should we use for this washing hands? Can I use Coca-Cola? Can I use juice? It's only water. Water and no other beverage should be used for washing hands between courses. Other beverages are oily or sticky and do not effectively clean the grease or food residue from the person's fingers. In a situation where there's no water available, however, one may rely upon the poskim, the rabbis, who permit using other beverages for these purposes. It's unlike mayim achronim, the water that we do at the very end. You can do any liquid you like. Okay. Now, the water used for washing hands between courses must not be poured onto the ground. Our sages taught that an evil spirit contaminates this water, and it might harm someone who trades on it, especially if a pregnant woman. It should be poured into a container or on a pile of wood shavings or the like, where the water will be absorbed and not form a puddle. So we've learned that before, that there's other forces around us at all time. We reject them during prayers. We reject them during acts of kedusha, holiness. We reject them right now when we have Torah learning. The fire, the spiritual fire that create around ourselves, they can't touch us. Now, during Seudah, while you're eating or preparing food, by the way, when it's Kabbalah, I don't have to do that. When a piece of food falls on the ground, let's say I'm eating now, and a piece of an apple I cut and fell on the ground, okay, or an olive, or a grape. It's not recommended to eat it. Forget about the 5 seconds rule and all that. It's nothing to do with that. According to the Kabbalah, it says, let them have their share, if you know what I mean. Just don't leave it there, just toss it. Okay? Sometimes the force is sucking from, and sometimes it happens for a reason. They leave you and let them go. Obviously, if you're hungry and you have to eat, you wash it and eat it, okay? But other than that, if it's no big deal, just let it go. All right? After washing hands between courses, it is necessary to dry them, just like when someone washes hands to begin a meal. This is because it appears disgusting to eat while one's fingers are dripping wet, especially when other people are looking at you. We've learned that before, that we have to take under consideration our surrounding, the people around us. Not to discuss other people, the way we eat, dress, smell, behave, act. It's very important when we are around people not to do Chilul Hashem, not to disgrace Hashem's name, to eat properly, nicely, fork, and a knife, and a spoon, and the proper way. We are Jewish people, we have to be an example, and we can learn from non-Jewish even, you know, manners, sometimes the way they eat. I don't know if it's the British or who is the symbol of eating politely, but if you can learn, we can learn even from animals, from ants, as we said, and so forth and so on. So anything that you can add on to this equation will be a blessing. Okay. Now, if someone eats a standard meal, beginning with Netilat Yadayim and the motzi, and he washes his hands between the first and the second course, and then become distracted, okay, and distracted. His mind, he took his mind off this action, and ceases to guard his hands from becoming dirty. He must perform the Netilat Yadayim again to continue eating. So he washed them. Someone else was talking, hey, Shalom Aleichem, he shook his hand. It happens especially when you do big meals in the shul, hotels, or there's a lot of guests, or you have to touch something to take, I don't know, a shmati that falls on the floor, a rag, or something that's cleaning material, whatever. Okay? So he must perform Netilat Yadayim again to continue eating. This is a repetition of the halacha explained above in Siman 158:14.
And say the bracha again?
No, there's never bracha. Only bracha you do when you wash hands before hamotzi, lechem, the first one. There's no blessing for the middle and the after meal one. If someone finished a meal, washed his fingers with mayim acharonim, the last time we do the washing, and then become distracted and ceased guarding his hands before reciting Birkat Hamazon, he does not need to perform Netilat Yadayim again, since he has no intention of eating anymore anyway. But it's recommended by Kabbalah that when you Mayim Achronim Chova, last water, right? Don't talk, and immediately do the Birkat Hamazon. It's highly recommended to do that for the first Netilat Yadayim always. Don't delay Birkat Hamotzi after Netilat Yadayim. So if you see someone going to the restroom, everybody will wait for him, so wait. It's better than sitting up on the table and waiting for this guy to come back. It was a time that of the Ari Kadosh, almost 350 years ago, that someone came to him and says, Rabbi, I'm suffering from the katef. Katef is the shoulder. In Hebrew, katef, shoulder. And I'm suffering, I don't know what to do. So Ari HaKadosh, Ari was very holy. You could see on your aura outside a lot of information about you. So I told him, let me ask you a question. Are you washing hands and immediately eating? Saying hamotzi and eating? No, everybody knows. There are kids around, there's people around. It takes time. He said to him, do that and everything's going to be fine. But he guess was curious. He said, what's the connection between this and that and my katef? If you know how to read the word, to write and read the word katef, it's the letters chaf, taf, and face of it, which the halacha says, techef lentilat yadayim amotzi. Immediately, techef means immediately. Immediately after washing, the blessing of Birkat Hamazon. Blessing tilat yadayim, and then amotzi and eating. Techef is the same letters of katef, exactly the same letters. It was hinted there, and the Ari HaKadosh could read it, that he is messing around with this mitzvah. He's washing hands, and then he's waiting, and hands dripping, and the beracha, and then he waits for the motzi. Don't delay. Focus. Mitzvot need focus. You need to be serious about the mitzvot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihyo b'dvaro. That's a good one. Okay, so any questions we have? Okay. It's strange. I don't see. I see only 3 people watching us. It's a little bit different. Okay. Let's move on for something that is very common on the Seudah. It's a Siman 174, Kuf Ayin Dalet, page 29. The laws of the wine during Seudah, during the meal. First of all, is it necessary to drink wine? Is it good or bad? How Judaism look at, what's the view of Judaism over wine? It's good, bad. So obviously it's one of the most significant drinks in Judaism. It's so important that it has its own blessing. Every other liquid, what's the blessing? Shakol. That's the only guy that we do, the only one we do, special bracha, bore, priya gefen, and then atov v'ameti for it. So that our sage is teaching us that this is a very important drink that can bring someone joy if you drink it with measure. It's under control. In moderation, under control, and it's also, if you want to go Kabbalah, connected to Adam and Eve and whatever. But it's a very important, this drink, that we can elevate such an alcoholic beverage spiritually with a blessing, a special blessing. It says, Yayin, wine, yesamach levav enosh, bring joy to one's heart. Everything with measurement. A woman allowed, permitted or prohibited to drink wine? They are permitted with measurement, like man. Everyone knows his measurement, right? I know I can drink 1 cup, makes me dizzy. I have to stop. You know that you can drink the whole bottle and you're still okay? Drink the whole bottle. It's up to you. You know. Okay? It's not that you're drunk and says, no, I'm okay. You're not okay. If people tell you, yeah, that's you're wrong. You're drunk, you're drunk, right? So, in every occasion, we bring wine. Before Shabbat starts, in the middle of Shabbat, and when Shabbat ends in Havdalah. We meet wines all the time. We do Kiddush in weddings. Bezrat Hashem weddings coming up next week. Bezrat Hashem. We're going to use, the initial plan was to have 10 rabbis, that's it. 10 rabbis because there are restrictions. 10 rabbis. And then my wife says, listen, it's not Tisha B'Av. This is a wedding. I said, okay, so you want instead of 10 rabbis, we can probably up to 14 or 15. Now I have to choose and pick people from the shul. If I don't invite this guy will get insulted. What are we going to do? Don't worry. So it ends up with 70 people, I think, so far. Some says they're not going to show up. Some says because of their age and the situation. It's all good, Baruch Hashem. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, I hope it's going to be nice, more than nice. I see the plans. I see the plans for cookings and the dancing. And we're going to take all measures. We're going to have masks and Be'ezrat Hashem gloves. And I even bought a special device that I can, with a laser, detect your heat. Oh, yeah. I bought it. So we're going to have someone standing, checking the people. We hired someone that is expert about it. His name is Jesse. It seems that you know this guy. And he's going to detect people. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to have something nice. Hopefully, Be'ezrat Hashem, everybody will come in healthy and stay healthy, Be'ezrat Hashem. Yeah. The house, you don't know, but the house is, because it's a balagan. Why balagan? Because we plan to do it in Eretz Israel. So we got a hole, and these guys want their money. They're not going to let it go. And I can't even start because the whole class will go over what we're going through these days, Baruch Hashem. But it's all for good. I know everything that goes with difficulties, it's good for the couple. Because the other side take his share now. When everything goes smoothly, no issues, no problem, you should know the other force is involved. Something is wrong. Something is going wrong. Difficulties is good. And I said, by the way, to all the couples that come for weddings, and we prepare them for weddings, we're going to have another wedding in the shul, I think almost a month later. Another couple that we are meeting with. Yes. So, it's the same thing. Everyone has his own thing. Amen. Okay, so we're going to dedicate also this class to Be'ezrat Hashem, Hatzlacha, success of everything we do for the couple, any other couple, and Be'ezrat Hashem, future couples here. Okay, let's do a halacha or two from this siman. Wine during meals. Wine during meals. When drinking wine during a meal, it is necessary to recite the blessing of Bore Riagefen, the blessing of Hamotzi, recited at the meal's start, does not cover wine. Even if someone expressly intended for that blessing to cover wine, he will drink during the meal. It's not going to work. When drinking any other beverage during a meal, however, it is necessary to recite blessing on it. It's unnecessary to recite blessing on it. It is covered by the blessing of Hamotzi, as will be explained below in Halacha 6, and this is Halacha 1. If someone drinks several cups of wine during a meal, he needs to recite the blessing of Borei Pri Hagefen. How many times? One. Only once. You'd be surprised. I get this question sometimes when people say, Rabbi, I drink the red wine and I finish the cup. I'm pouring in new wine from the same bottle, a new glass. If you say the blessing again, it's confusing for some people, especially when now he's testing another wine or checking another wine, a different quality, a different color. They get confused with the blessing of Hatov veHametiv. Remember? Yeah. It's a blessing that you can do few times over a meal. Depends if you're switching different wines. It can be 4 or 5 times. Depends on the wines and the wine's quality you are sharing on the table. So Hagefen will be said once only. Tova Mitiv depends on the situation. The halacha assumes that when he recites the blessing, he has in mind as much wine as he will drink throughout the meal. If he definitely meant to drink only 1 cup of wine and no more, but afterward he changed his mind and decided to drink more, he must repeat the blessing. And it happens also many times. People say, no, for me, just 1, thank you, that's it. He drinks, he eats good. And then the household, the head of the household tell him, you know what, maybe you should try this one. He planned to have only this much. Now he's changing his mind. He will have to say, given this halacha, many people don't know. So it depends on what you really planned, what you had in mind. If you, again, had in mind to drink 1 cup or 2 cups, and that's it, it means that when you get another wine, start all over again. It's like right now you're drinking the first cup. Go ahead.
After how much time in between?
It could be a few minutes.
What if you're not sure?
You're not sure, so you don't say a blessing. I wasn't sure if I would really want more, you know what, it was lenient about it. Yes, no. Any situation that you have a doubt, so he's saying it's better not to say a blessing. Well, right. So now you definitely knew that I'm not going to drink anymore. But you change your mind because they push you, or another one was brought to the table, another lechaim, sometimes another lechaim in another room. It depends on the situation. Go ahead.
Because normally you sit down to do and you do the hagefen with the wine, whatever, and then after that you put the other wine on the table. That's when you say atov v'hamiti.
Right. So the first wine you drink, it's usually when we do the grape juice.
Yeah.
It's covered. If the wine was already on the table, you can't say atov v'hamiti.
Right.
It's only when it was brought to the table later. So something new came in. Sometimes guests coming to us and they bring wine and they wonder why the wine is not there. And then they see it 5 minutes later that it's coming in. So, when I remember to say it, I tell them there's a reason why we do that. I want to gain another blessing. Otherwise, if it's already on the table and I'm doing kiddush, it's not covered. It's covered. This wine that you brought, the drum.
And then I bring it out.
Right. You can use that on Shabbat. So when you open it, nothing happens to the display? Wonderful.
It's always on.
All right. Fancy. Please remember, when they do Kiddush, you don't have to drink from the wine, but you're showing that you favor the mitzvah. You like the mitzvot of Hashem. So it's better to take a sip, a little bit. If you talk before you take a sip, or you drink from the cup, you will have to say Borei Priya Gefen all over again. Because should be, blessing of the head of the household, and you're drinking, not talking in between. You talk, you have to say Borei Priya Gefen. If you talk, it's called, when you drink the wine, it's called Lechibuv Mitzvah. We show Hashem that we found His mitzvah, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to drink from it. Okay, you can have another wine in front of you. It could be for another kind, and drink from that one. It's fine. Okay. I think we'll do one more halacha and move to the next part of the class. What's going to be the status when people do lechaim before a meal? Some places, weddings, events, people do lechaim, they schmoozing, there's some appetizers, and there's alcohol right there. They drink, they do lechaim, and then there is a meal, kiddush, or not kiddush or a meal, and they drink again wine. Sometimes even holding the cup they had from the schmoozing before. Now, when I start something new, a seudah, and I drink from the wine, I have to say this blessing over again? or it's covered what I did minutes before the meal. If someone recited the blessing of Borei Pri HaGefen and drank wine shortly before beginning his meal, he does not need to repeat the blessing when drinking wine during the meal. Not to be confused with Kiddush. Johnny, do Kiddush. Oh, I really can't. I just do Borei Pri HaGefen 5 minutes ago over this one. It's nothing to do with that. Because the halacha says today, it's the first, second meal, you have to do Kiddush. Regardless if you did Borei Pri HaGefen or Tov HaMeti a few minutes before. He does not need to repeat blessing when drinking wine during the meal. Likewise, after reciting Kiddush, it is not, this one is long. It is not necessary to recite the blessing of Borei Pri HaGefen if someone chooses to drink more wine during the meal. Even after someone finishes his meal and has removed all meals paraphernalia was all the from before him. If he cleared the table, I guess. If he wishes to drink more wine before reciting Birkat Hamazon, he does not have to recite the blessing of Borei Pri HaGefen again. He still relies on the blessing he recited before the meal. Okay? I think I want to stop here. Just remember, any wine you drink before the meal, you don't say the bracha after, because the Birkat Hamazon that you'll do in the Seudah will cover for that as well. Okay. Everyone, on behalf of Ohev Israel Foundation, I want to thank you for participating in this Jewish Halacha class. We continue momentarily with the second part of the class. God bless you all. Have a nice week. Shavua Tov.